And we're back! Greetings and welcome to the 17th installment of Big Bad Bat Reps. This is Nick back this week. I'm playing Bretonnia again. I played him last week. I am playing Neil, the store owner, this week. He had assembled this Bretonnian army a while back and kind of had it on the shelf. He recently put together a wood elf army, but he felt like he wanted to bust out his Bretonnians against my Beastmen this week. So I obliged him, and here we go. 2,200 points, fun stuff. Prepping for that North Star GT. I my goal a couple months ago was to have this army painted up and ready for the North Star GT, and then Nagash and the End Times came out, and my focus really shifted towards messing around with that stuff. So I got way behind on painting. I'll be playing my High Elves this year at North Star, but I'm hoping to bring these Beastmen out more often as they're a ton of fun. On to the lists. My list is unchanged from last week, running the same deal. I got a level 4 Great Bray Shaman running Lore of Death. He's my general. He has Talisman of Endurance for a 5-up ward save, Fencer's Blades, Dispel Scroll, and the Iron Curse icon. I also got Wargore BSB. He has Heavy Armor, Enchanted Shield, Gnarled Hide, and Dawnstone for that 1-up rerollable armor, defensive build. My core is 6 Chariots and 2 units of 6 Ungor Raiders, one of which I will hold in Beastmen Ambush. Then I got 29 Bestigor, I like to call them my best friends. Unit of Full Command and the Standard of Discipline, that's where the Great Bray will go. Unit of 29 Bestigor with Musician and Banner of Swiftness, that's where the BSB goes. 2 single Razor Gores and Big Bad Batty the Gorgon. Neil's Bretonnian list isn't that much unlike the list I played last week, save a few differences. I'm looking at a bunch of characters again. Neil has a Bretonnian Lord with Heavy Armor Shield, the Virtue of Heroism, which gives him Heroic Killing Blow, and the Ogre Blade. He's got another Bretonnian Lord with the Armor of Agalulf, that's the one that gives you Weapon Skill 10, Giant Blade, and a Shield. He's got 4 solo Paladins with the Questing Virtue, Heavy Armor, and Great Weapon. Paladin BSB with the Gromrel Great Helm, and another Paladin with Heavy Armor, Shield, and Lance. He's got 12 Knights of the Realm with full command, 9 Knights of the Realm with full command, 2x6 Questing Knights. They don't have any Musician or Standard or anything. 2x5 Mounted Yeomen, and 2 Trebuchets. So he's got a lot of stuff. He thought he'd make this list to kind of counteract my Beastmen, use those Paladins as chariot hunters and whatnot. We'll see if it pans out. Next to that, you see he's got that Bretonnian Lord is that solo guy just to the left of that Lance. And there you see his unit of Knights of the Realm, the Paladin with Lance and Shield, and his other Bretonnian Lord is to the right of him, just that kind of brown guy. I'm not sure which of these guys has the Heroic Killing Blow thing, but I think it might be the painted guy, because that's what I would do. Anyways, to the right of that, you see his other Lance of Knights of the Realm. And next to them, you can see he's got another solo Paladin, that's Great Weapon, and 6 more Questing Knights, and another solo Paladin out there with a Great Weapon. So he's spread across the board here pretty much. He's got a lot of solo characters that have good armor and can hit pretty hard. I have a ton of chariots, but let's check out my deployment. I deployed fairly centrally. I got this side of the table and we're deploying units one at a time, but prior to deploying anything, I measured between those 2 houses to see what I could all fit in there. You can see I got my 2 big blocks in the center there. To the left is 2 chariots, 1 unit of 6 raiders. The other ones will come in on ambush. 2 chariots behind them, a Razor Gore, and another chariot. Again, my BSB is in the painted unit of Bestigor on the right there. That's the one with the Banner of Swiftness. And my general is in the unit on the left. And to the right of them, or on my left flank, I have a chariot on the far left there. That was one of my first drops. Razor Gore over there, and the big Gorgon ready to hopefully go through the woods and get into some knights. And this, I didn't have any Vanguarders, but this is Neil's Vanguard moves. He just moves those Mounted Yeomen up like so. Now, I don't know if you noticed in the army rosters, but Neil has no magic whatsoever in his list. No Prophetess, no Damsel, nothing. I'm running level 4 Death. I roll up Spirit Leech, Soul Blight, Doom and Darkness, and Purple Sun. All these are pretty darn useful here, so we'll kind of see how the game unfolds and if magic's a factor. The Bretonnian guy prays, so I'll take the first turn. I don't declare any charges. my first unit, or my ambushing unit of Ungor Raiders, comes up over here on this table edge. They're going to be just within shooting distance of that Treb and maybe nick a wound off, but no immediate threat. Rest of Beastman movement is pretty much just kind of moving up here. My chariots kind of get out of the charge arc with that house there. They're going to support the middle. The one chariot lagging behind is hopefully going to deter him from lapping around. The Razorgore moves all the way up by that hedge. He can maybe get a charge on a solo character or something. Just, kind of be a threat. They're kind of bait too. He's in a fairly long distance away, but decent maybe for next turn. Everything else pushes up. Magic is 3 to 2. Again, he has no caster. I throw 3 dice at Spirit Leech on his general, which is the painted solo guy just to the left of that lance on the left. I end up getting that off. He can't dispel it with his 2 dice. Remember, I'm adding 4. We roll leadership, and I do 3 wounds to him. And he fails 3 6-up wards. We're pretty much straight up leadership. It was a straight dice roll, and I ended up beating him by 3. It doesn't have a strength value, so he just gets his 6-up ward from the blessing and doesn't make any. So his lord is taken off the field. So that's a really nice boost first turn. There's no panic over there from him being destroyed, except that Treb right behind him panics and can't shoot next turn. Shooting, my Ungor shoot into some stuff and don't do anything. With nothing in combat, we move to Bretonnian turn 1. And he surprises the shit out of me here. He doesn't declare any charges. Remember, he's moving his units one at a time, and he moved his one character over there to face those raiders, and then he moved the yeoman over there to face those raiders, and then he gradually just keeps moving everything its max distance, kind of across his back line there. I didn't really know what he was going for at the time. We talked about it later, but he's going to try and zoom all the way around to my flank and turn in, and hopefully he can eliminate all the stuff on my right flank and even my other unit of Bestigor. That's his plan here. So again, you can see he just shuffled his whole line sideways. I mean, his entire battle line is not even facing me. It's facing those Ungor Raiders there. His other yeomen come over there to face that Razorgore. They're probably going to plink some arrows at him. And again, he has no magic of any type, so we go into shooting. These mounted yeomen here shoot their bows at this Razorgore by the hedge, but can't wound it. And these guys over here, having moved and shooting at skirmishers, can't take any of these guys out, so they're still safe for this turn. And his one trebuchet panicked last turn and can't shoot, but this trebuchet scatters just like an inch or 2 and ends up peeling off the back rank of that unit. That's not the unit with the Iron Curse icon, so I just lose 5 dudes there. No magic, very little shooting. With nothing in combat, we go on to Beastman turn 2. And I declare 2 charges here, one with this chariot that was on the kind of behind my battle line here, facing that left side around that house, on those mounted yeomen. And you can see in the top corner, my Razorgore declared a charge on the flank of those Knights of the Realm. He's going to make it in, and the chariot's going to fail its charge. I needed like a 10 or maybe even 11, but it was worth a shot. Here's a pic of my Razorgore making it into the flanks of those lead unit of Knights of the Realm. My plan here, as these all turn sideways, my plan is to hopefully do a wound or 2. I'm looking right now at 3 ranks and a standard. I got a charge and a flank. If I can sneak a wound or 2 through, I'm not in Inspiring Presence, but hopefully I can stick here for a turn and kind of make a little traffic jam thing. Also, you can notice there's the spell card Soul Blight on these guys. In my last magic phase, I threw all 3 dice at Spirit Leech, and via the lore attribute, I got another die left, and I chucked it at Soul Blight on these guys, but that's going to go away at the beginning of the turn, or my magic phase, rather. And the rest of my army just pushes up. I mean, he's facing sideways. He can't really declare a charge on anything. I'm just careful to avoid, any possible charge arcs on anything. Yeah, I press up real hard, and I'm going to get in his face because I think he doesn't have enough room to make that corner. That was just kind of his battle plan, but I don't think it's going to work. Winds of Magic is fairly mild with a 6 die to 4 advantage for myself. I start by throwing 3 dice at Doom and Darkness on that Knights of the Realm unit, thinking maybe they can fail a fear test, or if I manage to sneak through a couple wounds, they'll be testing on a very low steadfast score. Um, that ends up going off. Yeah, I threw 3 dice, and I think I'm adding 4, and I think he threw all of his 4 dice, and with nothing to add, just didn't get it done. So their Doom and Darkness did. I then throw my last 3 remaining dice at a small purple sun, which I need a 15 to cast, but I mean it's 3 dice, it's worth a shot. I end up rolling 2 sixes and a 4, so that goes off irresistibly. It goes right through this rear Knight of the Realm unit, kills a couple guys. I roll a miscast 6, which is the small template centered on the wizard. He ends up taking a wound, he fails his ward save, and I kill 3 Bestigor from that unit. But as a bonus, that unit fails a rerollable leadership test and panics off the board. Other panic-wise, that trebuchet again fails its panic and cannot shoot next turn again. The BSB's gone now too, and that unit. So that was a good spell, and I got my points for that. For the shooting phase, these raiders let loose a couple short bow arrows and kill a mounted yeoman. These guys down here facing imminent death shoot a couple shots at that one paladin and fail to wound him. And this unit being Doom and Darkness they end up passing their fear test, so there's no wounds of any type doled out here. I think I flub my rolls, but do like 1 wound in between armor and the blessing. I'm strength 6 on the charge, so he gets the 5-up blessing save. There's no wounds of any kind here. I charge and got a flank. He's got a static res of 4 there with 3 ranks and a banner. I lose by 2. I'm outside of the general's leading inspiring presence thing and BSB reroll range, I think. But I roll a 3 here and I stick. So I'm holding them in place. Good deal. So top of Bretonnian 2, Neil charges his yeoman into these Ungor raiders. You can see on the top of the screen that Bretonnian Lord goes in there into the flank of that Razor Gore. He's going to save those knights. Here's a pic of his other Bretonnian Lord slamming into that Razor Gore. And these yeomen down here crash into the flank of these Ungor raiders. For the rest of his movement, remember his 2 lances, the one panicked off the board and the other one's locked in combat with the Razor Gore. So he has these 2 units of questing knights left and the 2 yeomen as well as these other characters. You can see he moved the unit of 6 questing knights on this end up to face the middle there. And blurry photo here, but he runs one of his solo paladins. That's the guy by those D6 there. He flies him over there and reforms, or swift reforms his other questing knights, or he does something anyways. They're facing that way to kind of hopefully fend off that trouble. And his other paladins and things just kind of take, I think he joins 2 of them up in a unit, and they're up on the left side. I didn't get a picture, but it's fairly inconsequential at this point. Magic is 3 to 2. He doesn't have a caster, but that unit is Doom and Darkness did, so he throws 3 dice at that and gets that dispelled. Remember, last turn from that unit panicking off the board and being destroyed, the other Treb panicked and couldn't shoot. This Treb misfires and cannot shoot. He's got a charge and a flank and does a wound or 2 to these raiders, and they end up breaking, and he chases them off the board like that. Same story here. I passed my Primal Fury. It's a blurry photo. I'm sorry. The top of the roof there is really focused, though. These guys break too and get run down. And these yeomen overrun like that. And in the Knights of the Realm, combat with the Razor Gore and his other Bretonnian Lord. He kills my Razor Gore and just reforms to face me. I didn't get a pic of it, but he's staring down my 2 big blocks now. So, Beastman turn 3. I got a bunch of stuff in range. I'm going to charge a ton of stuff here. This chariot charges the flank of those questing knights. The chariot right next to the house declares a charge at the front of those questing knights there. The chariot right next to it, you can just see a little bit peeking out on the side. That declares a charge on those yeomen and they flee. My big unit of Bestigors here, they're all painted up. They declare charge on that Bretonnian Lord. Hopefully they can smash him and overrun right into that lance. That would be ideal. On my right flank, I charge the Razorgore and the Gorgon into those questing knights, and my one chariot that was kind of behind the house into this paladin over here. They make their charges, but everything on this left side fails. The chariot doesn't get into the flank of the questing knights, nor the one that declared in the front. The one chariot uh, charged off those yeomen. They fled, and I just opted to fail the charge instead of trying to redirect. Um, so they all fail, and then needing only a 6 to get into that Bretonnian Lord, my guys rolled super crappy. That's the one with the movement banner again, and they didn't make it. So they stumble forward a little bit. Winds of Magic is 6 to 5, and I throw 2 of my dice here at Doom and Darkness on this Knights of the Realm unit. They could potentially be steadfast in a future turn, and I'd like them to be at -3 leadership if that's the case. And I think he lets that one go because I got 4 dice still, and I throw those at a small purple sun, but I fail to cast that, so that's the end of the magic phase. Left side of the photo there, you can see that that small unit of the 2 paladins joined up by that measure tape. I didn't get a picture of that before, but they're going to rear their heads later. And the only thing in combat was this right flank, and I clean up pretty good. That paladin only had 2 wounds between impact hits and everything else. His saves didn't hold up for him there. I reformed that chariot facing in. The Gorgon and Razorgore go to town on those 6 questing knights, and they all go before them. I don't take any wounds in return. He ends up breaking, runs off the table. The Gorgon is frenzied, so pursues. He'll come back on the board like that next turn, and the Razorgore repositions to face the inside again. So Bretonnian turn 3, he's kind of cornered here. He obviously didn't make it around the bend like that. That Razorgore held that one unit there in place, and the purple sun panicked off that other thing, and his battle plan's kind of gone down the tubes here. We're playing on anyways. He charges that lance and that unit of 2 paladins I spoke about earlier into my unit of Bestigor with the BSB in it, and he moves. You can see his hand is on that other Bretonnian Lord. He's kind of moving him over there to get him just in the right chaffy position. He had also declared a charge with his questing knights on the left side there into the flank of that Bestigor unit and failed that one. Here is use of the solo model chaff character thingy. He moves his Bretonnian Lord over like that. So, I mean, I think I have enough thing to wheel there, but I don't know if that back rank will be there anyways. But he's hoping that I won't be able to overrun into that lance, or better yet, hope he can just hold me up for a turn or 2. Here you can see his other flank, that unit that chased the Ungors off, they come back on, and he rallies his yeomen, and there are the unit of questing knights that have 2 paladins joined up in there. That was 6 questing knights, and then 2 paladins jumped in there in a turn before, but they failed their charge and are like that. He doesn't have a caster, but rolls magic because there's remains in play spells. At 6 to 3, he throws 6 dice and dispels Doom and Darkness. His first treb misfires. He's having really bad luck with that. Either he's panicked and can't shoot, or misfiring. And his other one drifts off the center of this unit a bit, nicks the back, and kills a total of 3 Bestigor there. Combat going on here. We got this one in the center. He put his stuff into my Bestigor block there. He's going before me. He doesn't issue a challenge. I issue a challenge with my guy. He accepts with one of his dudes, one of his paladins. I'm only strength 4. I don't get anything through his. He's got a great weapon. I'm rerollable 5 up armor, so it's kind of like the ward, the Bretonnian thing, 5 up, 5 up, but it isn't quite as good for me as him. I end up taking a wound. He does a couple wounds to me, peels off a rank there, 5 dead. I do a couple to him. He ends up winning this by 1 or 2, but I am steadfast and stick. So having stuck with my Bestigor block there, I'm not going to get my other Bestigor into his flank because he, used his Bretonnian Lord as chaff there. But I'm declaring a bunch of charges here. The chariot, I got dice laying down everywhere for charges. The chariot on the left there by the house declares again on the flank of those questing knights, as does the chariot. There's three there. The one on the right there behind the Bestigor also goes the front on the questing knights. The other chariot charges off those yeomen again. They flee. My other chariots, oh, I'm sorry, I ignore the yeomen. One chariot into the flank, one into the front, and then my other chariot's going to charge the front. I can clip on his unit of two paladins there, and my chariot to the right of my Bestigor block in combat there is going to charge and clip on the right side of that. My big unit of Bestigor also charges into his Bretonnian Lord. So these two chariots make it in. That's hopefully a good thing. Hopefully I can get some good impact hits there. These two chariots are also going to make their charges. Getting clipped in on there. We're, maximized and everything's good. So there's just enough room for them to clip in. And my Razorgore also charged the flank of that Bretonnian Lord. You can see he gets in there. And my Bestigor also get into him, wheeling and maximize the very best they can. And here's a look at the rest of movement. Pretty much everything's in combat down there. He didn't get to wheel around me like he planned. My units of two chariots on the right there, kind of lagging behind, but my Gorgon comes back on the table and is going to threaten that trebuchet there. Maybe smash that to bits next turn. Winds of Magic is 9-6 for me. I throw a couple dice at Soul Blight on this unit of Paladins because I know they have great weapons, so at least they're, just strength 5 now, so that's not as bad. He lets that go through. I chuck 4 dice at a small purple sun. I score really, really good here. He doesn't have a dispel scroll or a caster. He chucks a bunch of his dice and he can't dispel it. That's going to go down the line like this. There's my caster there and the unpainted unit of Bestigor, the small template again, the small version. And I'm just going to cast that sideways right through that unit of Knights of the Realm, clip those paladins, the yeomen, my 2 chariots, and that unit of, it's going to go right down the line there and hit everything. And I roll like an 8 on the artillery die, so that is going to go, it's actually going to stop, it's going to hit everything I did on my path, and it's going to stop in the middle of those guys, having hit them all, but bounce out the back. I apologize, I misspoke earlier. I actually casted it irresistibly on 4 dice. That was the scenario. Yeah, I actually rolled 3 6s. But that's going to be another miscast 6, which is the small template. Again, I fail my ward and kill a couple dudes. Here's what that purple sun did. You can see it removed a bunch of knights out of there. Both those paladins make their saves. All the yeomen make theirs. Both my chariots do, but that unit of questing knights, I think one of his paladins fails, and a couple questing knights die. From the miscast, I lost all my dice, but I get a bunch more back here from the lore attribute, and I cast Doom and Darkness on those 2 paladins. And I try to Spirit Leech that Treb, but he rolls a 6 and I roll a 1, and it's all good. Combat with the 2 chariots and the questing knights with the paladin in it. I do 8 impact hits, doing 7 total wounds after his, armor. He's got good armor in that blessing save. Getting the 5 up from that. He removed 3 of them. He doesn't do much back to me. Kind of whiff a Rama. I'm going to break him and run him down. The chariot there, we randomized which chariot he fled from. The one chariot fled through that little ruin, past its dangerous terrain. You can see that one chariot took 2 wounds from a paladin and something else, but he just kind of stuck there. Over here, the 2 chariots slam in. The one chariot slammed into this unit here. It didn't do any wounds to those guys. The other chariot killed, I think, 2 knights. He rolled really, really good armor and ward saves here. He didn't take many other wounds from his unit of knights there. I don't think the paladins took much either, but I end up winning by a couple here with my, I got 2 ranks and a banner. His unit of knights sticks. The unit of 2 paladins there, they had Doom and Darkness on them. They flee. I can't pursue with my Bestigor, but I pursue with my chariot here, and I can't catch him. And this is kind of what it looks like after that combat. His units or his army's pretty much fallen apart and defeated at this point. We're playing on anyways for the sake of the battle report. You can see those guys got away. Up top there between the two trebs, my two chariots are over there. They destroyed those knights, and there's just not a lot left on the table here. But for battle report's sake and just fun anyways, he charges these yeomen into this chariot. These mounted yeomen here, his other unit, I think they're going to go zoom around here. You can see those two paladins at the top. They broke from that combat in the turn before. They still have Doom and Darkness on them. They have to rally before his magic phase, before he can dispel it, and they fail and run off the table, causing, I think, one of his trebuchets again to panic and not be able to shoot. He shoots a trebuchet here. That's where he places it in the middle of the unit, but it ends up scattering off, and I don't think hitting anything. And here you can see where he zoomed around with those other yeomen. I think they might plink a couple arrows at a chariot, not do anything. And his other treb, I apologize. I think I misspoke earlier, but this other treb misfires and rolls a 1 or a 2 and is destroyed. Winds of Magic, we scatter the purple sun inconsequentially. It just goes somewhere and doesn't do anything. He doesn't have anything to cast. In combat, he gets flubby, and I think I make my Primal Fury roll outside of leadership stuff, but I do enough wounds to overcome his charge rank, and I chase him off the table here. And I finish off the last 3 remaining knights in this combat. I believe he punked my BSB in the turn before. But so there we have it. I mean, we call it here. There's no real need to play another turn. He tried something kind of, I would describe it as a little fishy at the beginning. His tactic was to zoom around and count on his trebuchets to whittle down those 2 blocks, using all his solo paladins to hunt my chariots. It didn't work out that way this game. I had some really big magic. Again, he didn't have any. So really magic dominance for me. I did a lot of wounds and a lot of stuff with magic. And it's a big win for the Beastmen. Again, these guys are a ton of fun. I busted them out last week for Malorians around the world in 12 games. Busted them out again. 4 North Star coming up in 2 weeks. I will be playing my High Elves. But I'd really like to bust these guys out in the future. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.